Everybody, Kingsley here. We are back for our Facebook Live interview, The Voices in Real Estate. This interview will take place every week, weekly for viewers in the real estate industry to learn and become better agents. Within Remax, we believe in strengthened numbers where people are open to share their experiences and knowledge with others with the Remax system and the rest of the industry to help each other become better agents at serving our clients. So today's topic is actually on social media advertising into the new decade, which is a very important topic, especially nowadays given the COVID-19 situation. Our guest today is from Pulse Digital, the co-founders of Pulse Digital Social Media, Andrew Wu and Sam Riem. So let's get them here on the screen. Oh, there we go. They're coming on.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Yeah. Hey, Kingsley.
I'm Andrew.
Hello.
Hi, Kingsley.
Yeah. Thanks for having us on here,
Hello.
Kingsley.
How's it going?
Great.
Good.
How are you doing?
All good.
Yeah.
I'm good. How are you guys adjusting to, I guess, being self-isolated these days?
Oh, man. I haven't gotten quite used to it yet. I think it's still every day feels so different than it did about 2-3 weeks ago. But, just trying to stay busy as we can, just working from home, working on our laptops and trying to keep everything going forward. But yeah, it's definitely been an interesting 2 weeks. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. Things are changing by the hour, day by day. Lots happening. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy how nowadays when you read the news every day, it's just so negative out there in terms of what's going on. But as I guess being in the real estate industry, as in good human beings in general, we should always keep positive, and those that are able to, I guess, keep positive can influence others to do the same. And through just motivational stuff that they do on a daily basis, or even sharing their knowledge, like what we are doing today, so that people are informed of what's the most up to date. For example, social media topics, tips, and things like that, which you guys will be letting our viewers know what some of the best practices and tips are for social media. So let's talk a little bit. Give you guys a chance to kind of introduce yourselves so that the viewers know a little bit more about what you guys do at Pulse Digital and kind of your background. Maybe we'll start with Sam here. Sam?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, sorry, just cutting in and out a little bit. But yeah, so my name is Sam Rahim. I'm the founder of Pulse. We started the agency about 2.5 years ago. And we're right now in the industry helping a lot of real estate and developer professionals get up to speed with social media marketing. So what we're seeing right now is in the industry of real estate and developer in that market, things tend to move a little bit slower when it comes to certain strategies within marketing. I do have a background of working with a lot of lifestyle clients here locally in Vancouver, a lot of barbershops, a lot of local suit companies, fashion companies, coffee companies. But after having transitioned over to real estate over the last 1.5 years, I was noticing a lot of strategies that were working really well on the lifestyle side of things, but were never really implemented on the real estate side of things, which was really interesting to me. So I partnered up with Andrew about 2 years ago, and we decided to really focus in on how we can benefit realtors in the best way possible to bring them up to speed and to provide them value through social media marketing. And I was really lucky to partner up with Andrew, as he has 10 years of experience in the sector of real estate and development. And yeah, it's been an exciting journey. We're helping about 10 realtors right now on a monthly basis, and that number is just growing. And yeah, it feels great to be providing value to this side of the market.
Excellent. Andrew?
Well, I think Sam said quite well over there. But yeah, definitely we work day by day together to see how kind of moving into this new decade, how do we utilize social media advertising to really help realtors build their audience and then also increase their business, increase their revenue. And we find that social media compared to a lot of traditional advertising channels, it's really coming as a much more effective channel and then much more cost efficient as well. So it's been kind of really exciting working with Sam also being invited on this interview with everyone here.
Excellent. So let's kind of jump right into it here. Even before the COVID-19 situation, we know that social media is very important for real estate agents or even developers, like you said, or to promote themselves or promote certain projects and things like that. But now, obviously, this whole situation, kind of, I guess the word should be expedite the importance of being digitally, visible online for your clients and customers. So just wanted to know what your views are as to why, in your perspective, because you guys deal with a lot of real estate agents. So what's your perspective in terms of why social media is important then?
For sure. I think right now is a very interesting time to be asking that question, as we're all sort of self-isolated at home. Things weren't quite the same about 2 weeks ago, but you're right, there was already a shift happening towards people obviously being on their phone more often, not paying as much attention, or the value of a bus stop ad or a billboard ad not quite being the same as it used to be. And yeah, so right now, perfect example, we're all on a live chat on Facebook, and the audience is all watching this over social media as well, meaning that over the last 2 weeks, we've just seen why it is so important to be able to market yourself on these devices, because people have been on them nonstop. And other mediums of marketing have just not been available. I mean, we know a couple of realtors who have rented out bus stops and billboards and all of those, but no one's out on the street right now seeing those types of advertisements. And yeah, so I think right now is just a very eye-opening time as to why a digital strategy is so important for times like these, but also outside of times like these, because we're finding that the cost of traditional marketing is just so much significantly higher than what it would cost to advertise on social media. And it is much more trackable to everything we're doing on the digital side of things, meaning that, let's say you put up a billboard ad on Cambie and Hastings, it's very hard to get metrics of how many people actually saw the ad, how many people called you based on that ad, how many people shared that ad, for example. Those are things that are just not that possible with traditional. And why I think social media is so important is because you have all of that data. You're able to run an ad in very specific geographical locations, and you're able to get all of the data of how many people actually saw the ad, what type of people saw that ad, and you're able to collect information from them, meaning that you can remarket to them after the fact. So it's just a very efficient and cost-effective way to market, but it's also very trackable, which we really love compared to traditional. Yeah.
Yeah, it is very, social media have, I guess, made things very different in terms of promoting. And I think social media is a great, like you mentioned, it's a great vehicle for especially real estate agents, because real estate agents ultimately are small business owners for themselves, right? So they don't have the resources like a large corporation would to do traditional advertising on TV or even at many times just even on billboards and things like that. Those cost a fortune unless you're a huge producer yourself. It's tough to get in those areas for a promotion. Whereas, especially if you're starting out as a newer agent or if you've been in the industry not too long, social media advertising is crucial for them to be, to get on there, to get some exposure and connect with their clients. So let's kind of talk about the different platforms. What are the typical platforms for the real estate agent? Because I know there's a lot. There's Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok for anybody that uses it. I think I passed that age for TikTok, but I tried download it and I really don't understand it much. But and there's also LinkedIn and so forth. There's lots of things that's out there, but which in real estate agents are busy, right? They can't focus on putting content out every day on 10 platforms at once. Which are the ones they should be focusing on then?
Yeah, another really good question that we get a lot. So again, in an ideal scenario, we would obviously love for the realtor to have as much time and energy to invest into social media, because it's one of those strategies where the more you put into it, the more you get out, and there's a lot you can do on there. It's not just simply one or two platforms out there. It's really a wide range that we're talking about. So from a digital strategy perspective, my biggest recommendation is to focus on creating long-form video, which then you chop up into smaller pieces of educational content for platforms such as LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. You take the main video and you put it on YouTube, and then you can extract the audio and put it on a podcast. So doing this, you can almost hit all of these channels all at once, but we understand that not everyone has that kind of a time commitment or financial commitment to be able to produce that much content. So when we're talking about the most effective channels right now, we always go back to Facebook and Instagram. And simply because there is so much consumer data on those platforms, and the cost to advertise on them are quite inexpensive as well. So what I mean by inexpensive is there are essentially two types of marketing you can do on social media. There is one that we call organic, which is simply setting up your own Facebook page and setting up your Instagram business page, which I'm sure all of us in here have done. And then you essentially start producing content, whether it be photo content or video content, to ideally help educate your clientele about certain questions they would have about real estate. So really helping just educate people. So those would be like the two channels that we would recommend the most in terms of organic. But then there's also paid marketing strategy, which is when you actually run a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad. And I'm sure we've all seen the posts on Facebook or Instagram where it says sponsored. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about a paid ad. And if a realtor is just getting into it, we would recommend really looking at the ad side of things, because it doesn't require you for you to produce content on a consistent basis. Rather, you produce a smaller pool of content, but then you help advertise that to a certain area within Vancouver to start generating leads and start generating brand awareness. So definitely Facebook and Instagram would be the minimum that we would recommend.
Yeah.
What kind of, oh, sorry, go ahead, Andrew. Yeah.
Yeah, I just to add what Sam was talking about, like we would really recommend realtors to really utilize on the ad spend side of things. Because a lot of realtors think we see a lot of realtor and our clients as well. They put a lot of content out there. They're very active in terms of generating content, whether it's video content or the photos of their listings. But they really don't utilize the ad spend side of things. Because that's really when you're going to have outside of your small group of followers seeing the ads, seeing about yourself, your business, your properties. So that's where we really want to emphasize, the ad spend side of things is really important. And that's really where Sam and I, we focus on, is to really perfect that process, knowing the target audience, knowing the geography of the audience that you want to focus on. Because at the end of the day, every realtor has their niche. Whether they are doing the resale side, they are in the Coquitlam area, they are in Kelowna area, Whistler area, they should really focus on that geographic as well.
Right.
And just to build on that point a little bit too, I think Andrew made a really good point in the sense that most of the realtors, like 9 times out of 10, you will already have an Instagram profile. And a lot of the times you realtors are also investing some time and energy into producing content. But the main disconnect that we're seeing right now is that oftentimes your follower count on, let's say, your Instagram is only about 500 or 600. Yet you're producing so much content and trying to promote so much content, but at the end of the day, it's only going to be shown to a very small number of those 600 people because you're not broadcasting it properly. So we're not necessarily seeing an issue with a lack of social media marketing in real estate. It's just not utilizing the broadcasting possibilities of running a Facebook and Instagram ad. And the example I like to give is, let's say that you're a realtor and you have like this really good tip about what people should be doing during the COVID-19 situation right now, whether it is to hold back, whether it is to invest, you have something you want to say. And instead of broadcasting it to everyone in the city, you just broadcast it to a small room of people. Like, of course, that message is not going to penetrate that far because it's just that small segment of the group that you're advertising it to. But utilizing Facebook and Instagram ads, it gives you the possibility to stand on top of a skyscraper in Vancouver and shout that advice at everyone in the city, meaning that it's going to have a much more profound effect and a lot more people like tuning into the message as well. So that's why it's really important to have the right distribution, not so much just being on social media, but utilizing the ad spend to actually reach people in your city.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The simple metric is for every $10 you spend, you can literally get 1,000 impressions kind of for people out there. So imagine if you spend just $100, you can get 10,000 people seeing what your listing is about, what your business is about. It can be very powerful outside of just your small follower group.
Right. So there's a lot of good ideas here in terms of, engagement with your client and exposure of your social media that you guys just talked about. And one of the biggest, I guess, struggles for not just real estate agents, but for any small business owner is, where on earth did they start with all of this? Because there's so much stuff that goes on. You just don't know where you start with, like what's a good starting point and how do you build it up and things like that. Because a lot of people are looking at instant, right? Like, how can I get to so many people at a time? But to me, correct me if I'm wrong, social media does take time to build. But I want to hear what you guys think about, where to start and how they can build their, I guess, their exposure, right, with an engagement with the people that they want to.
Totally. Yeah. So for us, we always like to take a look at it from a strategic angle before even, let's say, setting up your Instagram account, your Facebook account. Let's just really focus on who you are as a realtor and what your focus is in the market. Like, what is it that you're trying to do? What type of buyer or seller is it that you're trying to communicate to? Where do they live? What do they look like? How old are they? What are some questions that they would be asking? So it's really understanding who you are as a realtor and what side of the market you really want to start focusing heavily on, is because we're noticing that, especially with a modest marketing budget, it's very hard to do everything at once. I know in an ideal scenario, a realtor would like to take any project that comes their way. But when it comes to marketing and using your marketing dollars, we really recommend just having a focus, because if you take a smaller pool of money and focus it on a very segmented group of the market, you're able to reach a lot of that market rather than spreading yourself very thin. So we always like to start with really having a focus and a plan as to where you want to market, who you want to market to, and how you want to present yourself as a realtor. And then once we do that, one thing that we love to exercise with our realtor clients is, let's figure out what the top questions are that your clients are asking you, whether they're buyers or sellers. What are the 20 questions that come up over and over and over again? It could be things in terms of, is this a good area to buy? Is this a good time to buy? What are some first-time home buyer benefits? All of these questions that realtors probably spend a lot of time answering, just record them and turn them into pieces of content, meaning that you're able to answer it much more efficiently. Once you do that, the next step would be to make sure that you have your Facebook page and your Instagram page set up, meaning that you have your channels there so you can distribute the content. And then once you do that, we would just recommend slowly starting to publish some of that content, slowly starting to publish the 20 questions that your average clients would be asking you to, again, help educate a lot of people in the city. So those would be like the first few steps that we would recommend. And once you have those basics down of having a focus of what you're trying to do, having your channel set up and starting to distribute content, then we would recommend starting to put some ad spend on it in order to advertise that content to more people. But when it comes to how does a realtor start, those are really the basics that we would recommend.
Excellent. Thanks for those tips. It's actually one of the things that we tell real estate agents, actually through our sales rally, is that if you're going to get on social media, just don't create an account like a Facebook or Instagram and have no content or no post in there. It's like a ghost account, right? And we might find it funny, but if you go online and look at it, there are a lot of accounts that have either very few content or no content, just a photo of themselves. And typically that's probably the worst practice there is, because people go to your profile for information. And if you've got none, then you might as well not have a profile, right? Because they're there to look for resources. It's like going online to a website the company has and there's nothing about the company or nothing about what they do. Then it kind of defeats the whole purpose of even having one in the first place. So those are kind of my thoughts in that sense itself. Absolutely. So a lot of people, thinking about or on the edge of kind of getting into this, being on social media. So the cost is very important to most people, right? And especially these times, real estate agents really should look at the cost of how they conduct their business and trim down as much as possible. And social media is a great way to continue to promote yourself without costing a fortune. Like Andrew said earlier, $10 can get you 1,000 impressions already. So it's just more of a continuous way of how am I going to continuously hit the people that I want. So budgeting wise, you guys are the experts on this. So what would you say would be a good budget for real estate agents to start and then maybe to continue on afterwards?
So you want to address that point?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a little bit of a lag for Sam here.
Yeah.
There was a bit of lag. I got the question. Yeah. So what would be the appropriate budget that realtors should set aside? Was that the question? Gotcha. Yeah. So this is a very interesting question because it is one of those things where the more time and energy the realtor has to do it themselves, the more money they can save by doing so. There is a lot of there's a wealth of information out there in terms of realtors being able to educate themselves. We actually wrote an ebook that's literally made for realtors, like teaching them the ins and outs of social media marketing. So I would say for as little as the $15 that we sell the book for, a realtor could really get started with a lot of the strategies. Now, what might happen though is after they read the ebook, they might realize, oh, this is going to take a lot of my time, and I don't really have that time. I need to be focusing on my business. And that's where we usually start recommending working with a marketing company like ourselves in order to handle some of these social media tasks for you. Because we've been in the industry, we've done it for several realtors, so we've done the trial and error, so we're able to save realtors a lot of time. But I would say at its very core, if a realtor is very diligent and very motivated, they are able to figure a lot of these things out themselves, even though it might take a little bit longer. But working with an agency like us, for example, we're able to do a lot of these things for realtors between $500 to $700 per month, meaning that we can essentially handle your social media marketing, help you produce the content, help you drive the ads to the right people, and generate leads for you. But if I were to speak on a type of budget, I would say that's probably an area where people can start. And just one thing to note as well, if you are a realtor who is doing it themselves, there's always a hard cost associated with running Facebook and Instagram ads, because those two platforms charge you for any time you show ads to people in the city. And again, we would recommend a minimum budget of $300 a month, which typically yields 30,000 impressions. So that could be 30,000 impressions in downtown Vancouver. It could be in the North Shore. It could be in Surrey. Anywhere where you really operate as a realtor, you can use that budget to target your ads to those people in that part of the city, which can be very effective. So that's what we're looking at there.
So sorry. Yeah, no, I was just wondering, so the budget that you mentioned in terms of the 500 range, or a little bit more than that, 700, does that include the service content and also the advertising cost, or just the service and the content itself?
That would include the management fee as well. And then the advertisement fee would be a recommended $300 on top of that.
So you're looking at about $800 to $1,000 range overall. But this way, I guess it's a lot of real estate agents do struggle with, getting content themselves. But I guess in this sense, you guys would be creating the content on their behalf. So in a way that works, for those that are not comfortable with creating content themselves, this is a way to kind of create content on their behalf and putting it out there in the proper ways of, areas, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I also like to mention that, besides on the monetary sense, like between $800 to $1,000 a month, the realtor makes sense to allocate that money for marketing. I think in terms of time, it's also good to spend about 5 to 10% of the time per week. So let's say a full-time job of 40 hours, spend 2 to 4 hours of time just looking into marketing, looking into advertising, really be where your money is at. And that way, as a realtor, you also learn through that experience. And then, because a lot of times we work with our clients together to come up with a better strategy. A lot of times the realtor fundamentally knows about the business a lot as well, especially their niche of business. So we share a lot of ideas. It's good for them to also learn more of it themselves as well. So the time commitment as much as the capital.
Which I think is a very good point, the time commitment part of it, because people have to treat social media not just a way to advertise, I guess, but also a way to, it's like going to a networking event. You go there, when you post something, if people comment on it, reply to them, right? You just don't just blast or something out there, and when people ask questions or make a comment and you don't ever respond to them, that's not engagement. That's just strictly promoting, right? It's good to, you got to commit some time on a weekly basis or even a daily basis. Spend that 20 minutes a day at night or something like that. I personally do that too, right? To kind of read over what people are saying, and even for myself, when people comment, I learn something from them, right? And if real estate agents can, I guess, create that dialogue with their potential clients, it's very important, not just with their clients, actually with other realtors, and that helps build your own referral network overall, right? So it's a good practice, like you said, just spend some time on a weekly basis or on a nightly basis, just a couple minutes or even an hour, right? Just to kind of do it, and it does help. It does help along, building it's not just a numbers game where head count, right? You want people to be engaged with what you do too. So any other suggestions on that, or?
Yeah, I think you made a really good point in terms of there being a certain level of commitment that realtors need to make. It's never quite a Band-Aid solution with any type of marketing, but I think the unique opportunity about social media is that we try to educate our realtor clients in the sense that we want to make you the mayor of the part of the city that you really want to win in. We want to make you the person that other people think about the first time they think about real estate in, let's say, the North Shore or in downtown Vancouver. We want you to be that person because we understand the profound effect that word of mouth has in this industry. So again, like just comparing social media inherently as a platform compared to other types of marketing. Let's say that you're a condo specialist in Yaletown. You're actually able to go onto your Instagram every single day and search content based on location, meaning that you can just search for content that's being posted in Yaletown. Now, what happens there is now you all of a sudden see all of the engagement that's happening in that small sector of the city, and you can actually go in and you can start engaging with those people. You can start asking them questions. You can start engaging conversations with them. You can start establishing these relationships, because I think at the end of the day, social media is very much about building those relationships. But what it allows you to do is it allows you to build it at scale, meaning that over a course of an hour, you can communicate with like 100 to 150 people that live in Yaletown. And once you do that, you establish a relationship. They come back and see your Instagram profile and they see, oh, wow, you're a realtor that really knows Yaletown. You have a bunch of videos that talks about the Yaletown market, why it's a great condo market, the success you've had in that market. And if you really chisel away at that every single day for a year, your business will change. It will be absolutely transformed, because the profound effects that it has to really engage with the community that way are just so crazy. And it's something that you're not really able to do with a simple bus stop or a billboard. You're really able to just have conversations with people one-on-one. And yeah, it's huge. Yeah.
And the word that you actually said there is community, which I think it's important, especially during these times. And because a lot of people look at going on social media as to promote their particular listing and share photos and videos of their listing, but it's much more than that, right? And you want to build your community, and especially in times like this, you want to change that sales focus to a service focus, because the worst thing to say nowadays is, I'm trying to list a house or sell a house right now to a client, right? But what if you put out information on how everybody can help the community, and share that kind of content on social media? People will recognize you as one of the leaders in your own community, instead of just being a real estate agent trying to list or sell a house here, right? So it's important how, and for agents nowadays to adjust how they do things. And become leaders in the community to engage more with the people, even during these times.
Yeah. So, example I think you mentioned is also we have clients that we also pair them up, realtor pairing up with a property management company, and then helping them cross promote to each other's audience. And then a lot of times that brings in for that realtor to have more value to their audience, to their clients. So it's not just about buy and sell, but also when investor buys an investment condo or a landlord facing different issues, there's more of a value, more of a community that the realtor can bring to their community.
Excellent point.
And
so
and just to build on. Sorry. Just to add a little bit to those 2 points as well, I think Kingsley and Andrew, you guys really nailed it on the head. It is all about providing value. You can't just be out there putting your hand up and saying, hey, buy with me, list with me, and try that strategy over and over again, because people will become tone deaf to it eventually. What you really want to do with social media marketing is you want to give up so much value up front. So the next time someone thinks of buying or selling in real estate, they're like, oh yeah, I remember Kingsley, he gave me some really good advice way back then. He actually ran an ad to educate me, so he paid money to educate me. I remember that, so I'm going to get in touch with him because he really gave me a lot of value. So it's really about shifting your focus and your messaging, all about educating clients. And some of the videos that we recently shot for our clients is, for example, tips for sellers in this market. What are the top 3 things you can do to get a better price for your property? whether it's better pricing strategy, whether it's staging or marketing. Just really help educate your clients, because next time when they really think about wanting to make a real estate transaction, they will remember that value that you gave them, and you really established yourself as this voice of authority in the market, and it's really effective.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and real estate agent is in the service industry. Most of the time, we don't really own the house itself that we're selling. So at the end of the day, we have to look at what we're doing, right? What we're offering. It's basically the experience and the knowledge of what you know to the clients, right? So those are the key things, and if you can share that out to people that on social media, that goes a long way. So it kind of boils down to, we're at 30-minute mark. Wow. Right now, and so the last question I have for both of you is, or one of you, is the Remax hustle tip. What kind of tip would you give to the viewers here?
For sure. Yeah, we actually have one that's very exciting. We're very excited to share with you guys, because we don't think it's been implemented all too much, especially for realtors. And this strategy, again, goes back to running Facebook and Instagram ads, but the approach is a little bit different. So a lot of today's topic was about how we provide more value to our end consumers through social media content. This strategy is all about the same thing. So let's say hypothetically that you're a realtor that really wants to focus on first-time home buyers, and you understand that that's your segment of the market. You really want to attract that type of buyer. We recommend putting together an ad where you say, hey, listen, my name's Kingsley. Give me your email address, and in exchange, I will add you to my newsletter that will update you on properties that are below $500,000 in the Vancouver market. So as a first-time home buyer, as you're scrolling down Facebook or Instagram, you will see this ad and you're like, oh, okay, this is exactly what I'm looking for, because property prices are so expensive in the city. This person's made a list of all of the properties that become available for under that price. Let me give him my email address in order to stay up to date. So two very interesting things happen when you utilize this strategy. The first one is that you, Kingsley, as a realtor, you get a piece of lead information, which is very hot. You know that this person is looking to buy a property for that price range, and they've actually opted in to give you their contact info, meaning that there's room for you to follow up. But the second amazing thing that happens through the strategy is that you start building a database of very warm leads that you can remarket to over and over again in the future. So let's say that the person opts in, he gets a couple emails and he sees the properties, perhaps doesn't decide to buy this year, but you can still put him into your newsletter system where you're emailing him every month, giving him tips on real estate, giving him updates on the market, and just really walking him along that sales process. So that's something that we really recommend realtors to try. It could be, the strategy can apply to first-time home buyers. It can apply to two-bedroom condos. It can apply to single detached homes. Whatever house you're trying to sell, we would recommend generating an ad that tells people, hey, sign up to our newsletter and we will let you know when this type of property becomes available for a certain price. And that way, again, you're just building a very highly qualified list of buyers that you can engage with right there and then. And yeah, another big takeaway we want people to know is that Facebook and Instagram ads, they're always going to have a hard cost associated with it. So the ad that I just explained, you will have to use some ad spend in order to reach people in the city with. So absolutely, as a realtor, no matter what type of marketing you're doing, always make sure to collect emails, because email marketing is the most, even more cost effective than social media. Once you have that person's piece of information, such as their email address, you're able to market to them over and over and over again. And hopefully you're not doing this in a very spammy way, but you're doing it in a way where you're helping educate them. You're providing them with new listings. You're providing them with testimonials, again, the value-based marketing. But the importance is, whatever Facebook or Instagram ad you're running, ideally you want to collect that piece of data from them. So next time you don't have to pay to reach that person. Next time you can send them an email that costs you nothing. So.
Right. Yeah. And make sure, if anyone here doing email campaigns, make sure to follow the government regulations across Canada, or if there's any particular ones with your province or area, just make sure you all follow the regulations on that one. So we don't want anybody in trouble. Anyway, so let's, we're open to, I guess, comments or questions here. There is a slight delay between our live and the comments itself, so we'll kind of go through. I'm just reading my head down here. I'm just reading some of the comments here. Actually, one of the questions from Stephen in Vancouver is, do you guys have any stats on the return on investment with the model that you kind of discussed earlier. And where can he get the book? The book itself, I think you already answered that question. But in terms of return, is there a way to, how do you calculate that through social media?
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah. So again, the main metrics that we look at for clients is the brand awareness, how much we're paying for the impressions, as well as how much we're spending per cost that's per lead that's generated for our clients. So typically, a metric that we like to stick to is between $5 to $10 per lead generated for realtor clients. And on average, we generate about 10 to 15 of those leads for our real estate clients on a monthly basis.
Right. Awesome. Another question, I guess I don't know if it's a question or a comment here from Ray here. If you were basically not a social media person or never really got on it, what's some of the things to, I guess, I don't know if it's a fear or overcome that hoop that how do you get on there? And I guess that's more of a mental question, is like, how do you get yourself accustomed to all the social media and things like that?
Yeah. So I guess the question you're asking is, how do I get over the hurdle of not wanting to put myself out there, or the fear of putting yourself out there in a way on social media? Yeah. That question actually hits very close to home, because for me personally, I was never the type of person who really had that confidence to be out there on social media, to post videos of myself, to post photos of myself. It was definitely a bit of a process, because as you said, like real estate agents, they are small business owners, and you're very much the face of your own company. So there is not very much else to advertise beyond like who you are and what you stand for in a lot of ways. So I would say don't overwhelm yourself by trying to do too much all at once. I would recommend just doing it one step at a time. Perhaps the first few videos that you record, just record it at the comfort of your own home. Take your own time. Like, there's no rush. Just put on the camera, run through some concepts. And the more often you do that, the better you will develop your skill of speaking in front of camera and being more comfortable doing so. So again, I would recommend just one step at a time, and just practicing at home until you get that confidence to put yourself out there. But at the end of the day, one thing I really like to mention as well is people are always the most critical of themselves than other people are. We always, whenever we rewatch something that we recorded, like when I'll rewatch this after this interview, we're always so critical of like the small details of the places where we messed up, or the places where we think we could have spoken better. But ultimately, you're usually your biggest critic at the end of the day. It's all the little things that other people actually don't notice. So as long as you're providing value, and as long as you're clear in your communication, you shouldn't be worried about putting yourself out there.
Exactly. I mean, I always go back to thinking my early days of getting on social media, especially doing videos. I think the first mass video I sent out was about, I think, not even 2 minutes long. I don't think it was 2 minutes, but it took me 2 hours to do. And I try, different corners, making sure I look good and say things correctly. But at the end of the day, it's really, like you said, the value, the content that I say, that's the most critical part. And just be yourself, right? Don't be afraid. And people, I mean, it's just like going to a networking event. You're not going to be, going to, for example, I go to Andrew and shake his hand. Hey, I'm Kingsley. If I screw up on that line, I'm not going to say, hey, Andrew, let me step back out and I'll come back in here and reintroduce myself, right? People get it, right? So don't be afraid. Just kind of jump into it and, just go at it, right? Just be yourself. It's
kind of like going to the gym. You don't right away start benching like 400 pounds. You kind of take something lighter. You kind of get used to the environment, you play with it. And then I think that ultimately that's also why Sam and we started the Pulse Digital, that we want to be there. We're kind of like the trainers in the gym. We want to be working with our clients, help them develop that side of them, of the marketing. Maybe one day they want to be doing it all by themselves, but through that journey that we could learn and walk through that journey together to help them develop their business more and further. Yeah, I think that's kind of a progression, step by step.
Right, step by step. Like everything else in life, step by step. We know this. We got this, right? So that kind of wraps up the interview itself. First of all, I would like to thank all of you on behalf of RE/MAX of Western Canada, and the two of you here, for sharing your experience and knowledge on this. The video itself here will be recorded on my timeline and will be shared at the other pages within RE/MAX here. So anybody that wants to make a comment or ask questions, have questions for Sam and Andrew here, by all means, feel free to comment on there, and they're more than happy to get into the comment section and answer some of your questions as time goes on. So that's it. Appreciate it, and stay healthy, you two. Just stay home and eat lots of good food. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Stay safe and healthy. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
See ya.
Thank you. Thank you, Kinsley.